This is Auntie Up, Indigenous women talking about important shit.
Bonjour, welcome to Auntie Up, the podcast by Anishinaabe Kwe for Anishinaabe Kwe and everyone else across Turtle Island, where we're going to have insightful and real conversations about things that matter to us, while elevating the voice of Indigenous women and their knowledge and expertise. On this podcast, we're going to delve into several topics with some really great guests. We're going to talk about land defenders and water protectors, language experts, entrepreneurs, beaters, writers, and so much more. But on this first episode, you're going to get to know us, your hosts. So my name is Jolene Banning, and I live and work from Fort William First Nation, and just on the outskirts of Thunder Bay, Ontario. I am a producer with Makwa Creative and just released a podcast called Spirit to Soar. You can also hear me on CBC Radio with stories from Anemki-Waju. And I'd like to turn it over to our other host, Kim Wheeler.
Hello, Bonjour. I'm Kim Wheeler. I'm Anishinaabe and Mohawk, and I live on Treaty 1 territory, aka Winnipeg, the heart of Turtle Island. I began my career as a print journalist and moved into radio about 14 years ago. Usually I'm on the other side of the mic, behind the scenes as a producer, but this past year is the first time I've actually been on this side of the microphone for any, a length of time. I have my own radio show on Sirius XM called The Kim Wheeler Show, and that's just my own thing. But as part of Auntie Up, we are going to have many different hosts. We're going to rotate them in because we really want to give other Kwe an opportunity to have their voices heard. You're going to meet them shortly, but before we get to them, I want to bring on our executive producer, who has really been the engine behind this little podcast, journalist, author, and filmmaker, Tanya Talaga.
Bonjour. Tanya Talaga Nigisnikas, Kamusko Pimujishet Pineshish Nigisnikas. It's so good to be here. I'm so thrilled. I can't believe this is actually happening. You have no idea how long we've been talking about and dreaming about hosting a podcast called Auntie Up. This podcast came about after Jolene, Kim, and myself were producing another podcast that had a few guys on it, and it kind of went sideways, and we all decided that we wanted to work together for ourselves, by ourselves, and for other Kwe. We wanted to lift the voices of other women in our communities from coast to coast to coast, and we wanted to do this ourselves. And so that was the genesis of Auntie Up, and it's taken a while, but we're here. We're finally here, and super excited to be standing at the sidelines cheering and listening to everyone.
So I think maybe one of the first guest hosts that we'll introduce will be maybe Stephanie.
Wajayak misawe kapatwata tashnakasuyan anunau nashtamaga ashkamao tutiskanau seran musfactory gishinentaw weekend musfactory inununana Namushum edwewo. Washosibi giuchina. Neba kutasiwen gaginao. Dashkigewak James Bay. Dukawe man beyakodanas. Nishawak nishashumak. Gashtidananoa uteya itayan. Hello everyone. My spirit name is Gapatwetat, which translates to the first sound of thunder coming. My English name is Stephanie. I am Innu with Inuit ancestry, and I introduced myself to you in my Innu Cree language. I was born and raised in Moose Factory, and I'm a member of Moose Cree First Nation. My grandfather says that we come from a place called Washausibi, which is a beautiful river on the shorelines of James Bay. My family live on both sides of James Bay, and I am a mother of one daughter and two beautiful grandsons, and I am honored to be here.
Thank you. We're so excited to have you with us.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
We're going to throw it over to Christine.
Okay, Shonithan. Thank you, Shindi. Shachlena Niji, Againat Nashindi, Quanlen Nashindi. Tagishkat ine, Ishdenis, think Ekoshe. Eshachla Nash Mata an Quachan, Tagish Kuch Ane. Eshachlan, Eshta Kuch An. Eshaguna, Eshtachluedi. My name is Christine Genier, in French, en français. In the People's Way, I am called Chachlain. I am joining you now from what is known nationally, colonially, as Whitehorse, Yukon. It is the traditional territory of the Kwanlin First Nations and the Ta'an Council. I am of Tagish, Tlingit, and a European descent, and I am of the Ta'an Council. I am a broadcaster, performer, and language holder and language teacher for the Tagish language and some Southern Shoshone language here as well. I'm a sister, a mother, an auntie, a daughter. I have a big family, and I always want to give a shout out to them because they are why I'm here. I am a former broadcaster. I was host of CBC Yukon Morning until it came time to admit that we had very different ideas of what it meant to indigenize media and decolonize media. And I'm incredibly grateful and very excited and looking forward to this conversation with these incredible Indigenous women from across the country. We're going to have a good time.
I think so. Because this podcast is going to be a little bit different than sort of the regular podcasts you hear. Kim, tell us what makes this one so special and unique.
Well, I think Christine hit it right on the head there when she said, she left the public broadcaster because they had differing views of what it meant to indigenize the media. And, we want to bring people conversations with our knowledge keepers and businesswomen and artists without a colonial lens on it. And I think that's what's going to make it unique. And also, that we are going to have a multitude of voices, not just one or two hosts who are, guiding the show along every week, but really just being a part of something bigger than just us. And I think that's what's going to be really great about this. And we have some amazing guests that we have lined up, and that we are going to be reaching out to. And, I think if we're interested in speaking with them, I think people are going to be interested in hearing from them. And it's going to be an exciting first season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have some really exciting topics like talking to land defenders that are right there on the front lines, going toe to toe against the RCMP and big government as they try to push through oil pipelines and take land that's not theirs. We hope that this podcast is going to be a real opportunity to learn about the people that come here from Turtle Island, coast to coast. And, as it's great to have these women and these voices with all this experience and expertise to join the conversations.
Yeah, one of the voices who could not be here today is Brandy Morin. She will also be one of our hosts on Auntie Up. She is actually in BC right now at Fairy Creek, covering it for her freelance journalism career. And so, if you're listening to this and you want to check out Brandy's Twitter account, go check it out. I think it's
Songstress.
Now I forget what her.
I feel like it's Songstress 28.
Oh, yes, it is. Yeah.
And she is there videotaping live exactly what you don't necessarily see in mainstream legacy media. Like, she's giving you the full story, and some of it's quite shocking and almost a little bit scary to watch her be there, like on the front lines like that. So I'm really grateful for the work that Brandy's doing, and it's going to be really exciting to hear from her next week. She's going to be our first guest host, and she's going to be on next week, and I bet she'll have some good stories for us.
Yeah, she's so fearless, I'm thinking of her right now, and I know we all are. We're all thinking of her at this moment in time, right? Because
Maybe that's her now coming in.
Oh,
that little doorbell.
Who was that?
I think it's another guest host.
I think so. Yeah, I think
Maybe
so.
they wanted to come spill some tea with the aunties. It's Celeste.
Hello, everybody.
Hi. Do you want to introduce yourself as one of our guest hosts?
Yes, I'd love to. So, bonjour, Ani Wache. It's really great to be here with all of you. My name is Celeste Pedri-Spade. I'm an Anishinaabe from Northwestern Ontario. So I proudly hail from Lac du Mille First Nation, or Nizadekung, place of poplars. I'm speaking with everybody here today, all of you from Kingston, Ontario, good old K-Town, because when I'm not up north in my home community, I'm a prof. I'm the Queen's National Scholar in Indigenous Studies at Queen's University. So that's me. And I'm sorry I'm late to the party.
It's great to finally meet you. Sorry, I'm just taking over for a second. It's like, hello, it's nice to meet you. My family is from, my great-grandparents were married in Savannah. So that's, I know, we're probably related. I know.
You can catch
cousins. Not only are we aunties, we're cousins too.
I know, right? Yeah.
We're all the things.
Good stories about the Savannah River. Very good memories about the Savannah River. My grandma, my kokum used to work at the Savannah River Resort.
Oh yeah, I know it. I know it well. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, that's owned by my community now. Now it is. For many years it has been. So I have really fond, beautiful memories of the Savannah River. And elders in my community that have stories about being born on the banks of the Savannah River.
Yep. My great-grandmother was a midwife. So she might have birthed some of those cousins or people. Anyway, that's another story. But it's nice to meet you.
Celeste, we were just talking about what our listeners can expect this season and the great guests that we have coming on and some of the topics we are going to be tackling. And I just wanted to ask you, what are you most looking forward to doing as part of Auntie Up?
Well, I just love any opportunity to come together with a strong group of beautiful, intelligent, fierce, powerful Native women. And so I'm just really thankful to be in such good company here. I'm really looking forward to having the space to, host. I'm helping host. So I see myself as a host, as welcoming whoever it is that will be joining us that day, and creating a good space for them to share their stories about their life. And we need more of these things to do. And so I'm just really looking forward to coming together with other brilliant minds. And I'm actually, as a host, just want to listen. I'm really, really interested in the listening part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're so lucky that way as hosts, right? That we get to take part in these conversations. Christine, you are you have a lot of oh my God, I've just blanked on the word that I wanted to use. Experience. You've had a lot of experience behind the mic with conversations. What are you looking forward to this season?
Everything. I'm looking forward to all the Couche show, really good talk that we're going to have. I'm looking forward to this experience of working in broadcasting or webcasting, as the case is here, in work that not only uses us, our voices, our faces, our indigeneity, which has become it's become de rigueur, if you will, over the last little while, but also the work that is done by the producers. That the producers are coming at this from an Indigenous lens as well. So, to be able to take part in this kind of work that we really all really love, and knowing that I don't have to have this long conversation beforehand every time I have to convince somebody about what indigeneity means from our perspective, what it means when we're talking about language and story and our personhood and the lens itself. That's a huge part of it. And also, and I'm just going to fangirl a little bit here, I'm looking at a lot of faces that I've admired for a long time. So that's a really big part of it for me as well.
I think we all feel the same way.
Yeah, I'm totally fangirling over all of our hosts.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And our guests too. Like incredibly powerful, successful, beautiful, motivated, driven Kwe. And it's so exciting because they're doing it like all of our guests, all of us here, like we're doing this our way from our point of view. And I was just listening to a video by Buffy St. Marie where she talks about like we're more than just our trauma, right? Like we can't be just our trauma. Like we're also our strength and our beauty and our resiliency. And if you only focus on one, you're just going to go round and round and round. You need both, right? And so that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to most about this podcast is elevating all of these beautiful people.
In more than a 15-second soundbite.
Yes.
Yeah. It's kind of like, getting around the table. Like, I know we talked about this when we were talking about the concept of the show. It's like sitting around the kitchen table, truly is, with our tea and just talking to girlfriends, and just all Kwe, like all Indigenous women. That's such a gift, right? Being able to do that. And there's so much going on out there in the world and in our lives. And, this is kind of almost like a bit of therapy and fun and laughter, I think, all rolled into one.
Yes, it is.
Jolene, I have to jump in and I have to say, I recognize something that is behind you, the backdrop.
Yes.
I see my mother's work behind you. Aw, it's going to be awesome that I'm going to tell her that she made it onto the Auntie Up, the first episode. That her work is represented.
It's beautiful. It's my first star quilt. I bought it for my little cash bear, and I'm using it in my office for the podcast. She won't mind.
She's going to love it. I'm going to tell her.
Isn't it awesome that we're able to do this, to be able to use this to highlight not only our own voices, but to be able to have this conversation. And then this is an artist, Darcy McDermott here in the north. I'm wearing Kaylin Baker earrings, a Northern Deshoney artist here. This is our opportunity to not just bring ourselves and our guests, but all of the incredible Danajel that we know and admire.
Yeah. My backdrop, as we're talking about this, is actually just it's just like a little nice blanket, but it's from a store here in Winnipeg called Cree Dene Designs, and they sell all sorts of indigenous items, and they actually just moved from a little tiny place, way tucked in an industrial section, into a more high vis area. So it's really cool to be driving down a major roadway here and seeing a big sign that just says Cree Dene.
Super flattering. The colors are awesome. I love them. The purples and the reds, and you look great. Looks so good.
Thank you. It's the lighting. I have a shadow on me too, but whatever. Anyways, we'll fix that. We'll fix that in post, as they say. So I want to get to know you ladies a little better, and I want our listeners to get to know us a little better. So we have a round of quick fire questions. And I know in our rehearsal we weren't so quick, and that was okay. So maybe we should rename them just like questions. Slow questions. So we're gonna start. I'm gonna start by asking Jolene, what was the last book you read?
Well, that's such a hard question because is it for work or is it for pleasure? Because I'm always reading for work, it sounds like, but for pleasure, I want to say it was The Bone Marrow Thieves
By Sherry Demelin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually still reading it. They're hiding out in one of the old abandoned buildings right now, and I don't think that they've realized that their dreams have power yet.
Oh, the sequel just came out of the book. Yes, so read fast.
Okay, I will.
Stephanie, what are you reading?
Oh, I haven't had any time to read. I think I mentioned that in the rehearsal, but you know what? The last book that I honestly read was to my grandsons, and it's Pete the Cat and His Groovy Buttons. So reading to my grandsons, yeah. So that was the book.
Hey, that counts, man.
That's the book I want to read.
It's a groovy book. They love it.
What are you reading, Christine?
Right now, I'm rereading, and likely not for the last time, Lee Miracle's My Conversations with Canadians. It's really riveting, but beyond that, it really helps me to have my conversation with Canadians. So it's a book that I can't really recommend enough.
Nice. Celeste?
Okay. So I have 3 young boys that are 9, 8, and 6, and a 20-month-old girl. So I'm reading children's literature, a lot of children's literature. And actually just last night, I was reading a book that my little guy actually authored because he's got to do a school presentation. So we were helping him prepare for his presentation, and it's called Gijik and the Ojibwe Pterodactyls. So I get to also promote his work, my little man.
That sounds amazing.
Right? It's got a great title.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, and just happy to help encourage his literacy and help, give him the confidence that he's got something to be in school. I think he's one of the only Native children in his school. So, we're brushing up on his presentation skills by reading his own book.
Nice. And Tanya, you're out in Vancouver today at an authors festival.
I am. I'm at the Vancouver Writers Festival, and that's how I know about Cherie Demeline's new book, because I think it just went on sale 2 days ago. And weirdly, she's speaking right now about it down the street from my hotel. So the last book I read was Sufferance by Thomas King. It's his new work of fiction, and it's actually a really incredible book. I liked it a lot. It's about a man named Jeremiah who is a forecaster. He sees into the future, and he's been hired, or he was hired by this big multinational corporation to forecast trends. But he quit in disgust, and he moved back to his his community, and he doesn't speak. So the whole book is told by Jeremiah's point of view, and he doesn't speak to any of the other characters, but you hear him in his mind. And the book is really quite interesting. It's a real commentary on on us and them, on people that have a lot and people that don't, and on that conflict between a non-Indigenous city and a small community, First Nations community, and how that goes. It's a great book. Can't say enough about it.
Well, I'm reading Unreconciled by Jesse Wente. It's his memoir. So I'm just kind of tucking into that. And it has this really great opening where he talks about the first time he realized that he was Indigenous. And not in a good way. I mean, he always knew, as we all do, but it was, there was racial slurs thrown at him on the baseball diamond when he was 10 years old. And he talks about it, about, how it was hurtful and how it stuck with him. And he doesn't really remember anything about baseball except for that. So, you took something so beautiful for children and such a favorite pastime for, everyone. And now you have this horrible, horrible moment that you're always going to associate it with. And I was talking with my daughter, my youngest daughter, who's deaf, and she said that happened to them too, her and her friends on the playground. And so it was that war whooping sound where they put their hand over their mouth, right? And Jesse said he'll never forget that sound, but my daughter remembers the motion because of course she can't hear sound. And she remembers them just like looking, they all thought that they looked ridiculous. So yeah, and I have a stack of 4 books that I have to read because I'm going to be interviewing authors at the Toronto International Festival of Authors next week. So I'll be tucked away on my couch all weekend trying to get through 4 more books.
And avid readers would be saying that sounds like a dream weekend.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So some of our guest hosts have other jobs, like Celeste was saying. She's a professor at Queen's University. So I'm just going to throw it to Celeste one more time to say whatever she wants to say.
To say Minawagawabamin. No, I am just really honored to be able to jump in, and I'm sorry I can't stay longer with you ladies today. I'm off to a meeting to support one of my students, but I just want to say miigwech. Thank you so much for inviting me here and to be part of Auntie Up. I'm really looking forward to the upcoming episodes, and this is just great.
Miigwech, Celeste.
Mapi.
Celeste.
Miigwech, nice to see you, Celeste.
Good to meet you.
Okay, let's get back to our slow round of questions. Let's talk about our favorite food because we all like to eat, and I've decided I'm changing my answer from the rehearsal because in the rehearsal I said my favorite food was grapes while everybody else was super cultural about it. But I think my favorite food is bison. We make bison burgers and bison lasagna and bison stew. So yeah, we eat a lot of bison in our house.
I saw the island bison taco night, the pictures on Instagram. That looked amazing. When you change your furniture to be your serving platter, it's a good meal.
That's going to be a good time, yeah.
Yeah. All right, Jolene, tell us your favorite food.
I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know because I love so much food. Like when we had the rehearsal, I said things like, bonbons and pizza. But I mean, then all of a sudden Christine started talking about traditional food, and I grew up on traditional food. Like my grandma and grandpa literally lived off the land. And I mean, later in life, my grandpa worked for CN Rail when they came through his little track community. But before then, they were very much on the land. So when my mom would bring me back home to where she's from, Allen Water Bridge, for summers, that's all we had was fish, beaver, moose. And I loved it. It was great. It was so fresh. It was so tasty. So it's really hard for me to say what's my favorite because you need food for life. I don't know. I love food.
Christine, you're down there laughing silently.
I just love it. You need food for life. And it's just okay. It gives me life in so many ways as well. But I hear you, Jolene. It's I go to the traditional because for me it's intrinsic. It's true, and especially for salmon, I go crazy over. We're a salmon people, and not to bring anything down or anything, but we'll be hearing about this coming up in our podcast. We've seen huge climate change happening, and we've seen it a lot, I think, first in the north. As a result of that, we haven't been able to, we've been under a voluntary ban on pulling our fish nets at fish camp in the interior of the Yukon. So anytime I can get a hold of salmon, I'm a happy girl. But the other night, last night, in fact, I was served a creme brulee that has been my favorite dish since then. And I thought, well, I'm French. It's traditional as well.
Nice.
Creme brulee and salmon, I would have to say, sounds like the perfect meal to me.
I love creme brulee.
I always feel a little guilty cracking that top. That's weird. I should take a look at that. But
I have this great story about creme brulee and Thomas King and Drew Hayden Taylor.
I want to hear that.
I know.
That's quite the
Another
mix.
time. Another time. Stephanie?
Oh my goodness, talking about all this food, I'm getting hungry already. Yeah, so I'd have to say, I love food. Like Jolene says, you need it, right? For me, just today, my son-in-law just happens to be here in the city, and he brought me some moose meat. And I'm looking forward to frying some of that up tonight, and with some good onions. And, I've been trying to stay away from some of the white potatoes and peas, but you know what? You've just got to have it because it just coincides together. But you know what? My favorite food, and my mouth just waters thinking about it. And one of the things that we say up in Cree territory when we're ready to eat some goose, we call niska, is nitu mitunan. Nitu mitunan, which means I'm getting ready to get my greasy chin on. So it's niska, moose meat. And then just to share a little story about the fish, Christine, even in James Bay territory, a few years ago, I was at a gathering, and there was some elder cousins that I know from Pewanik that were there, and she was cleaning some whitefish, and she was cleaning this whitefish. She says it's new to her territory, which is on the Ontario west coast side of James Bay. She says this whitefish came from the Quebec side, the east coast side. She says what it's doing, during climate change is that it changed the migratory patterns and the breeding grounds, because that whitefish no longer has rivers on the Quebec side because many of the rivers over there are dammed. So the whitefish is now showing up on the west coast side of James Bay. Yeah. I just wanted to share that. So.
Thank you, because we do have stories about that too, the changing migration up here as well, and a lot of it due to, we want to say, overfishing in the United States, but it's also, looking at the climate change is quite huge. It's the water temperatures. And how they live and the comfort and what's available to the fish is starting to change as well. So they're finding new migration. In some instances, it's incredible where you're like, you can get whitefish where you hadn't before, but it is, really fairly concerning as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Tanya, do you have any concerning food that you eat? Not to make light of it, but I'm like,
well, staying with the fish theme, I'd say walleye fresh out of the lake at a fish fry. I like it with butter, dipped in flour and milk, and then butter and salt and some French fries right beside it, and a nice glass of red wine, Cab Sauv, something that's got a little bit of body to it. And there we go. That's my meal.
Why do we like the fat so much?
I don't know. It's so good,
it's
though.
Beautiful.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I know. So there you go. I changed my answer a little bit from the last one too.
Well, we got to mix it up a little. Mm-hmm. How many pairs of beaded earrings do you own? Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I've had many over the years. Actually, right now, I'm wearing a beautiful pair of earrings made by my cousin's fiance, Kalia Washish. She's from the territory of near southern Quebec area, and she's a Timucua. And but I've collected many over the years, and even now. But you know what? Like I said, I just keep giving them away. People will say, wow, those earrings are beautiful. Oh, wow, really? Okay, here. I'm just so generous. I'm like handing them off and trading and stuff. So, I like supporting our Indigenous artists and take pride in wearing all kinds. Even, I've got a beautiful pair of parfleche earrings the other day, and, other types of, products that people are, using and traditionally using, and, some more contemporary styles. So, I'd have to say right now in my jewelry case, I probably got about maybe 24.
That's a good number. It's a good number. Anybody beat her? Anybody have more earrings than that?
I probably have about maybe 40 pairs of earrings. I also am a beater, so probably 4 or 5 pairs of those are just made by me. But I'm the same way. Like, I love all styles of earrings: birch bark, feathers, leather, bark, you name it. And I have so many talented cousins right here on the community that are always creating with quill and bark and leather and beads and everything. So I'm always like, I got to get some earrings. I got to get some more earrings. Like, they're just the styles they're coming out with. It's amazing. And even like the contemporary looks. I got a couple pairs of earrings from, I want to say Indigenous, and they're those molded florals and strawberries, but they're light plastic, but they're the woodland style, and they're just all different colors. And I hope I have that name right, but they were in Indigenous Fashion Week, and they're just an amazing brand.
Are you madly beating the Auntie Up logo for all of your guest hosts for
Oh man,
winter solstice season?
I think that should happen for sure. Yeah.
Good. If I get those glasses, that prescription filled, it might come sooner than later, because as my eyesight stands now, I can only bead early morning light. And I'm always calling my daughter, can you thread this needle? I was like
Christine, you're rocking some earrings today.
I am. These are Kaylin Baker. She's a Northern Shoshone artist. They're beaded. They're not exclusively beaded. They are quite long. I love them. They were commissioned by... See, I knew that was going to happen. You guys are going to see how messy my house is. Commissioned by my mom for me. So after we did our dress rehearsal, I was like, how many beaded earrings do I have? And I went in and realized exclusively beaded, I have about 5 or 6 pairs, and all of them have a bit of a story behind them. I'm not going to go into it now. That would make the slow questioning very slow. But a lot more like this and other materials used. I've got this great pair of wolf fur earrings that I use when I really want people to pay attention. And the beaded earrings I have from Ishmaya Nakiela, my Aunt Nakiela, who's a beader as well. These are pieces that mean, quite a bit to me. Because as much as I really do love this life I live, immersed in, I guess what's always just been living for a lot of us has now been described as traditional and cultural in many ways. And some of it comes very naturally to me. Beading is not one of them. I have this incredible memory of my mom trying to walk me through it. And I actually poked my eye with a needle. I wish I could tell you I was 10 years old or 19, but this was only about 4 years ago. So I let other people make the earrings now.
Wow. That sounds dangerous.
I know, with the needle in the eye. Like, what were you doing?
I think I was so concentrated on it, and I wanted to do such a good job, and I kind of pulled it back and They're very thin, long needles, and I think maybe I need reading glasses as well. I don't want to scare anybody off. This is really Christine's approach to beading. I think Jolene would be able to tell us a little bit more about how to do
Safety
it in a not so
goggles,
dangerous
I
way.
guess. Yeah, when beading with Christine.
We're gonna talk to some beaters on the show later on. So Christine, you're gonna have to host that one and get some safety tips.
I'm gonna have to fess up to that. Yeah. But my favorites are these, I love it when I can find. I went to a particularly difficult conference out east once. Sometimes we go to our conferences and we talk about difficult things. And I walked out and there was an artist whose name has since fallen out of my head, but I know I have her card. And she was selling these beautiful round beaded earrings, and they looked like shields to me. And I thought, that's what I need. And I bought them and I put them on, and I went back into that conference just like I felt like I was shielded from everything that was coming down on me. Yeah.
Well, and then in traditional regalia, some people wear like mirrors and shiny things, and there's a significance behind that, and that's to, deflect back that energy, right? So if there's like, certain types of energy that are being thrown at you, it deflects it off of you, and it's like a form of protection. So yeah, they, I think our earrings do provide us with some type of protection, similar to, how we wear our gukum scarves and other pieces, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I have to say that I have a lovely beaded piece that was made by you, Stephanie. Do you remember you gave me a poppy that you made for Remembrance Day? And I wear it on my coat around this time of year. And it's actually in our film Spirit to Soar. It's on my
it's
coat.
Mixed beadwork and quills I use.
That's right. It is. Yeah. So
I remember that.
Some of your work. There you are. Which you so sweetly gave to me. And, every piece of, I concur with you, Christine, every piece of beaded jewelry I have has a story. Like every single piece of earrings. Like these ones here are from a woman named Celeste, and I interviewed her about her family. I went to go visit her. She's Stolo Nation here in BC when I was first at Kamloops to Shwapma after the discovery of the 215 children. And I went to go talk to her in her community and meet with her dad and other survivors of the Kamloops Indian Residential School. And I did, of course, the thing. I ended up buying a whole bunch of earrings from her, because she was like, yeah, I bead. And she actually even beaded, I'm going to wear it one day. I have a black baseball hat that I wear that's got blue beading around the visor. That's from her too.
Mm-hmm. I love that hat.
Oh, thanks.
It just totally dresses up your outfit. Like you put on some beading, and I think that's why I love earrings so much. Like they are a shield, but also like there's such a statement too to say like we're still here. Like we're not going anywhere. But we might be going somewhere, Auntie Up, because we are coming to the end of our very first episode, our Get to Know Us episode. And it's been so fun getting to know you guys a little bit more. And I think that we're going to see some more shine and sparkle come out of you ladies as the episodes go on. So we hope that you will subscribe to our podcast on all your socials and follow us and like us. And we will be producing more podcasts.
Yeah, we're actually going to be releasing new episodes of Auntie Up each Monday. So you can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And also as part of Auntie Up, we just want to shout out our sponsors. So Know History will be providing some historical context to our conversations as part of their sponsorship for this show. So we will also learn some history, but in a fun way, and not like that math teacher that happened. You guys all know that.
But my gosh,
that was sad.
Right? So if you want to check out their website, you can go to knowhistory.ca to see what they are all about. Chimigwech for listening.
Pamapi, Chimigwech.
Good.
Sokoseni danit e.
Ganaskamawen. Mucha.
Auntie Up is produced by Jolene Banning, Kim Wheeler, and Sam Makwa for Makwa Creative. Our executive producer is Tanya Talaga. Our partner is Antica Productions. Auntie Up is sponsored by No History and Anna Mickey, Indigenous innovation since 2003. Follow and like us on socials at Auntie Up Podcast on Facebook, Auntie.up on Instagram, and Auntie Up 1 on Twitter.